All right, so why don't we start? Thanks everybody for joining us. Grateful to see so many new faces and see a lot of new names here and the list of folks, participants, which is really great. And as United Way of Greater Waterbury, we're excited to have United Way Connecticut participate and share and shed some light on the tremendous tool that 211 is and the portal and really having a greater understanding for us as providers and as uh, as consumers of 211 resources to ensure that we're supporting the needs of those in most need in our community. So really grateful for Alana and for Laura for the great work that all of you do on behalf of folks in the greater Waterbury area. And we're excited to see and experience some of the great things that 211 has to offer and how we can support our consumers with the information that you're about to share. So we will kick it off to you guys.
Laura, you're muted.
Thank you. I think I went to unmute myself and instead I muted myself. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Laura Robidoux. I am the Director of Information Services with 211. And with me is my colleague, Alana Kroeber, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Good morning. Thanks so much for this opportunity. My name is Alana Kroeber. I'm the Senior Director for 211 Specialized Services, and
Hi, Heather.
pleased to be able to be here with Laura today to be able to speak a little bit about current 211 service offerings and our website.
Yes, thank you. So we'll be spending the next hour kind of broken up into two different sessions. The first part, we have a brief PowerPoint presentation that we'll go through to really talk about all of our core 211 services and offerings. And then I'll transition over to Alana, where she'll be giving a live demonstration of our website. So in just one moment, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, let's see. Okay, just one more moment. Sorry, everybody. Okay. So to kick us off, we actually have a video that we would like to share. It was created in preparation of 211 Day, which is February 11th. Our communications team put this together really to help illustrate what happens, well, first, how a person can connect with 211, and then what happens once they get referred to the agencies that they are being referred to from, whether they're looking on the website or by calling into us. So I am hopeful that when I hit play, you should be able to both see and hear the video, but please, please speak up if you can't hear it.
When I searched 211 for food, I was amazed at the amount of pantries. And I had to retire due to health, and my husband had lost his job, and we had no income coming in. So we came to the food pantry, and they have helped us tremendously. We got our pride back because it's hard when you don't have a lot. You don't want to go begging for, and they don't make you feel like that. They make you know that you're important.
My story is I have two daughters, and they're both 6 and 8, and me and the mom split about a year ago. She pretty much has just given me a hard time seeing my kids and being able to be involved with them. I feel like one of the biggest things that's really helped me through this was seeing all the other fathers and other people in similar situations and seeing them also struggling and coming for help, and that kind of encouraged me to want to talk about my situation and get help as well. The resources are out there. All you have to do is really search on 211 and you can find any local place that can help guide you through whatever struggles you're going through.
Just the stress of life and not having her here for support. And I just served papers to go to court to fight for custody of my kids.
Okay.
And it's just everything. My boss doesn't understand me, and I have nobody left in my life, and I'm just so alone.
I want to confirm with you again that right now you don't have the intent or the plan that you would be safe enough if we were to connect you to mobile crisis.
Yeah, I
Okay.
can stay safe for that. So there's two things I want to give you, okay? So I wrote down on this card, it's our triage card. So whenever you need help with anything, you can call this number, okay? And it gets you to all sorts of services with CHR, including mobile crisis.
Well, at home, it's just my son and I. He's autistic. So I needed assistance, and I reached out to 211, and they gave me information about a great program here in the area called New Opportunity. It's a big relief for me because I don't have to worry about which bill to pay. I know that with this program, with New Opportunity, I know that they got me. So I'm able to pay other bills and not worry as much with the electric bill and the gas bill.
Okay. So here in Connecticut, we have one statewide 211 contact center. Our staff are are trained to be able to screen folks for a variety of needs and services. We work very closely with state partners in times of disaster, with local United Ways, with our housing and crisis providers across the state, among all of the other, many nonprofits that we collaborate with and that we maintain in our database. And we do like to see ourselves as, at that one-stop shop where people can call for really anything that it is that they're looking for. We are part of a larger organization, as Jared mentioned, United Way of Connecticut. Under the United Way of Connecticut umbrella, we operate the 211 Contact Center, which includes our mental health crisis services. Separately, we also have a 211 child care department where they maintain all of the home and center-based childcare programs as well as summer camps. We also administer the Care for Kids program from start to finish. So determining eligibility as well as, processing payments and working with the families and childcare providers. Excuse me. And we also operate the 211 child development child development department. Sorry, just bear with me one moment while I get a drink of water. Okay, there we go. We serve as the association of the local United Ways. So there's 15 local United Ways across the state. And so we work collaboratively with all of them to strategize around marketing agendas, legislative agendas, and we do a lot of work really, which is asset limited, income constrained, employed families. So those families that are, above the poverty level, but still only a paycheck or two away from, being evicted from their home or not being able to put food on their table. So what is 211? We are a free and confidential information and referral line. We operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. We are the first statewide 211. So if you were to call, or if you were to be in Texas or California and dial 211, you would route to a regional 211. With the larger states, it would be nearly impossible for them just to have one statewide call center. But here in Connecticut, we are fortunate just to have one statewide contact center. We're located in Rocky Hill, though most of our staff are working remotely most days of the week. The resources that we have are available both via phone and online. And like I had mentioned, Alana is going to be doing a web demo to show you how you're able to look up resources yourself on the website. So some core components of our 211 work, well, our foundation is in information referral. So we connect people to more than 40,000 programs and services that we maintain in the database. We have crisis intervention is a huge component of what we handle in the contact center. The state relies on us for our disaster and emergency preparedness. So in times of cold weather emergencies, other natural disasters, man-made tragedies and disasters. The state, again, relies on us to be ready, to be part of the response, to support Connecticut residents through that, and, and in the aftermath of any disasters. We have our housing program, as well as some additional specialized services, such as LIDA. When someone calls into 211, they aren't making the wrong, they're not calling the wrong number, right? So if someone, whether a person is looking for counseling services, parenting services, healthcare information, food assistance, legal assistance, we are able to help problem solve with that family or individual and help get them connected to a wide range of resources that we have in our database. We do our best to keep the resources updated in the database and that a little bit further. But really anything related to health and human services, we would have the programs and agencies listed in our database. We work very closely with the providers to ensure that the information is as up to date as possible. And we also have a lot of seasonal programs that kind of come and go in our database, such as, holiday food programs, holiday toy programs, tax-free tax preparation services that I'll be talking about in a little bit. During the summer months, we're able to refer folks to the farmers markets and free summer meals for the children. So really, there is no wrong call that comes into our contact center, and our staff go through extensive training to be able to refer callers to all of these different programs and resources. So trained to really do a thorough assessment with the caller to figure out, you need food, but are there other things that we can help you with, related to food? Perhaps they need help finding employment, or they need job training, or perhaps they didn't know that they could qualify for WIC or food stamps. This illustrates the top requests that we see coming into our contact center, both through the phone line and then also through the website. In the last fiscal year, we responded to over 3 million inquiries from people looking for help. Of course, with COVID, that was still a pretty pressing need, especially last year. Prior to COVID, and what we may see going forward is that our top needs will likely go back to being housing and shelter, which you see as number 2 here on the list, followed by food, and followed closely by mental health and addiction. But you see the breakdown as you go further. Employment and income, people are looking for financial assistance programs or programs to help them to get back into work, and of course, utilities as well. What we capture in the data, what our contact specialists capture as they're taking these calls is what a person is looking for. So what service it is that they're looking for. They capture whether they're able to provide a referral or not. And if they're not able to provide a referral, then we also capture unmet needs. All of this data is available on 211 Counts. If we have time at the end, Alana may be able to add a brief demo of 211 Counts. But if you have not checked it out, the link is there. There's data in there from 211s across the country. But when you click on Connecticut's information, you'll see a more detailed breakdown of all of the different that are coming in through the contact center as well as through the website.
Is that information broken down by region as well, or is it more global?
Yes. No, you can break it down by county. You can break it down by legislative district, by zip code, by town. So yes, you can get pretty granular with the data on 211 Counts.
So just a quick plug. I think that information for us as providers, especially for some of the smaller non-for-profits that might be on the call, helpful for grant writing, right? So you've got a lot of information as well as the Alice information there at your fingertips to help you write grants. So, part of the reason for this call was not just, how to help a consumer, but also how to help yourselves. I think this is one great way that 211 can help empower you as a program or provider with your grant capacity by accessing some of this great data at your fingertips.
Yes, and just to piggyback off that a little bit, Jared, so you'll see the needs requests, but what often is kind of the more telling story that you can also capture from 211 counts is all the unmet needs. And legislation has been passed based off of data that has been pulled from 211 about, unmet needs related to utilities, water and things like that. So yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that because you absolutely, there's a wealth of information and data at your fingertips from that website. And that's also live data. It's uploaded the night before. So you have data as current as yesterday. And it dates back to 2014 for call data. And I believe, and Alana, please correct me, it's either 2016 or 2018 for our web data. Can also break down within 211 counts. You can look at only call data or web data or everything combined. So there's a lot of historical data too, if you wanted to do some comparison of, what the need was 5 years ago compared to, what the demand looks like now. And so our database. So we have a database that includes 40,000 programs and services that are kind of spread amongst 4,000 agencies that we maintain in the database. We, fully recognize, as I'm sure you all do, that programs are constantly changing. Hours may change or locations, agencies may be moving. And so we maintain all of that with a team of 7 resource specialists that are dedicated working full-time to maintaining that database. In addition to maintaining the database of programs and services, they also have created over the years 380 e-library white papers. The white papers are intended to provide a little bit more details around specific programs or topic issues and provide links back into our database so folks can read about it and then actually get the referral to the program within their community, or sometimes there's links out to external state partners or other providers. And the information, every agency is updated from top to bottom every 12 months. However, we are getting alerts and doing outreach to agencies on an everyday basis. As an example, I think most of you probably know that Operation Fuel had their winter program. They had to put it on hold last month, and and then they just reactivated it earlier this week. And so our team was in there making all those programs inactive and then getting them updated to be active again in the database. So that way, if people were calling in or looking at the website, they would have that current information. We also know that, some programs are seasonal. So Operation Fuel is one example, but, farmers markets as another. So that information also changes on a regular basis. We also know agencies' funding can change, right? So a program may have some money to help someone with back rent. And then, they exhausted it. And so they're reaching back out to us, or we're reaching out to them because we're hearing that, perhaps they've run out of funds. So then we have the ability to make that inactive in the database. So that way, they won't continue getting referrals. And so agencies can reach out to us, and really the community can reach out to us through our website, which Alana will demonstrate. But our nonprofit providers reach out to us via phone, email, and then also through the website to make sure that their information is current. And again, Alana will probably reference this, but we on our professionals page on our website, there's an option for agencies to request to be added to our database. There's a specific form that they would complete, or if they're already in our database and need to update their information, then there's a way to be able to do that on the website as well. So we try to keep it as easy as possible, recognizing that all of us are extremely busy. And so we want to keep it as simple and keep as many avenues open as possible for organizations to be able to reach out to us. So with our contact center, we do have a whole dedicated crisis team, especially with the rollout of 988 last year. We have a strong crisis team that is handling calls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's many different crisis lines. So historically, there was the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline that has since transitioned to 988. There's some other crisis lines through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, Hope Line, and some others. All of them ultimately route to our contact center here at 211. And the kind of the point that we try to really emphasize, especially with community providers who are working with clients, is that if someone's in crisis, they can dial 211, but they can also dial 988, and 988 is kind of that straight shot to getting connected with a crisis contact specialist. Recently, as recent as of January of this year, the Youth Mobile Crisis Program has become available 24 hours a day mobile. So prior to this year, the mobile crisis clinicians had mobile and non-mobile hours, meaning if someone called at 2 o'clock in the morning, there wasn't a clinician that would be dispatched to a child's home out in the community. There was, phone support that we provided through our own internal clinicians, but that has since changed. So as of January of this year, the Youth Mobile Crisis Program is available 24 hours a day to respond in person, if requested, to work with a child in their community. We often get referrals from, schools. Schools are always our top referrer for children in crisis. But, certainly families and others can call in anytime, day or night. Our staff will do an initial assessment to make sure that everyone is safe and that everyone can continue to be safe while they wait for mobile crisis to respond to them. Mobile crisis comes out typically within a 45-minute window if requested. We do the intake, and then we provide a warm handoff to that clinician by phone, who will then ultimately be the ones to respond in person. We serve a similar function for the adult mobile crisis providers as well. The most distinct difference is that not all of the adult mobile crisis programs are mobile 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But if someone did want, if an adult is in crisis and is looking for a clinician to come out, they can dial 211 or 988, and we can provide some telephonic support to them. And then depending on where they are and the hour, we can also connect them over to the adult mobile crisis program. And our crisis program has, we've had a crisis program for many, many, many years. And in recent data, it's shown that over 90% of people who call in with a crisis, and I believe the percentage is actually closer to 90 or 95, 95 or 96% of those folks who call in say that their crisis has diminished after speaking with us. And another statistic that we like to highlight on here is that less than 1% of our calls result in any sort of escalation to 911 for an active rescue or medical response. And I think that's an important note, because I think there is still this feeling that if I call a crisis line or if I call 211, the police are going to be called and, will present at my house. And that's not, that's very rarely the case when someone calls in into 211 with a crisis. And actually last year we were awarded the winner of the Crisis Center Excellence for the nation, which, you know, we're very proud of because we've done a lot of work with our crisis program. And, you know, we want people to feel confident that if they are in crisis, they can call 988, they can call 211, and, you know, our staff will work with them and help get them connected to the necessary supports. Some other specialized services. So I kind of mentioned this, so I'm going to breeze through the next few slides pretty quickly. But our 211 Child Development Department is the intake for the Birth to 3 program. So if a family is concerned about their child's development, they can call into our 211 Child Development line. And, you know, they would kind of do an assessment and a questionnaire over the phone. There's also a questionnaire that they can mail to them that helps the family kind of track the child's developmental milestones. They also recently created an app, a phone app called the Sparkler app. So that can be requested. There's a code that a family can receive to be able to download that Sparkler app for free. And that's also an easy way for families to kind of track and set realistic expectations for where their child should be in their development. They also work with families of children over the age of 3, but who have, you know, again, developmental concerns, maybe involved with special education and just need some, you know, some additional supports. Our 211 Child Care Department is also a separate department, you know, with their own database of all of the home and center-based child care programs. They also maintain listings of all the summer camps, which, you know, is a very common call and inquiry this time of year. And they also work with child care programs and providers who are looking for additional training or, you know, need some guidance to actually create their own child care program. And then we have our 211 Housing Crisis Department. This division works with households, so individuals and families who are already homeless or who are at risk of becoming homeless within the next, you know, within the next couple of weeks. So they will, you know, assess kind of what the situation is and figure out what is it that this person needs. Sometimes we get calls from people who are looking for shelter because they have no heat in their home. And so in those, we work with that household to kind of problem solve, refer them maybe to a utility assistance program, or, you know, see if there's family or friends that they could stay with temporarily until they're able to, you know, fix their boiler in their home or whatever their situation is. We also, you know, try to problem solve with them and figure out, okay, this is your situation, but like, what else is happening? Do you have food in the home? Do you have a source of income? If you're going through the eviction process, are you connected with, you know, a lawyer through legal aid? Have you started looking for other housing options? You know, we have referrals to permanent housing resources like Connecticut Housing Search or housing authorities and things like that. If they are already outside, we'll also take a look and see if there's a warming center, especially during the winter months. Or is there an immediate shelter that they might be able to go to? Again, that really varies depending on the season. And then we'll also do an intake with them by phone, and we'll get them scheduled for an appointment with their local homeless and housing provider in their community, which is part of the Coordinated Access Network. Coordinated Access Network, also known as CAN, is a network of providers. There's 7 different regions in the state. And so depending on where that person is located, after we do that intake, we'll schedule them for either an in-person or by phone appointment with their local provider. And so again, that's specifically for people who are already outside or for people who have a very small window for when they need to leave their home. And then lastly is our specialized service for VITA. So the end of tax season is right around the corner. We have a specialized division that has been helping people the past few months with locating free tax prep, as well as actually scheduling people for these free tax preparation appointments. It's available for anyone whose income is less than $60,000 a year. And VITA is, you know, available through the duration of tax season. Appointments are filling up quickly. You know, I don't know how many more appointments there are still open, but it's certainly worth a phone call if you are talking with someone who, you know, is needing to file their taxes and you know, hasn't quite figured out a plan to do that yet. Separately from VITA, there are also other, you know, tax preparation services that the VITA team may be able to also refer that person to if they can't get them an appointment. We have a banner on our website related to VITA that when you click on it, you'll also be able to get a direct link to be able to schedule your own VITA appointment as well, or at least see, you know, what options there are for VITA appointments. So, you know, I just wanted to mention, I know we're coming to the end of tax season, but there are still you know, some appointments available across the state. And with that, I am going to pause and see if there are any questions. I couldn't see the questions as I was presenting.
Somebody has a hand up, Laura.
Okay, thank you. Yes, go ahead, Joseph.
Yes, so my question is that when a person needs housing assistance, whether they're coming out of a recovery house or in a shelter and they're looking for housing, how long, or if they're in a situation where they need emergency housing, how long does that process take? Because I've had some negative feedback about the housing situation. And so I want to know, I want to be able to say to them, once you call 211, these are the steps that are going to happen. This is what's going to happen. It's going to be a process. It's not going to be immediate, but it's going to take a week or 2 weeks. And then you will be assigned a case manager who will work with you through that process. So I'd like you to be able to explain that to me, the housing piece to me, so that I can be able to better explain it to them, because that is a growing need, not only in New Haven, but in Waterbury as well.
Sure, certainly. So I will do my best to answer this. You know, for them to connect with 211, you know, they have to be within a certain time frame. See who's in the audience here. I think I saw Jess Remy join, and so Jess, feel free to also weigh in, because I know you do a lot of work with the Coordinated Access Network. Sorry to put you on the spot there. But typically, historically, for families, if they're at risk within 14 days, you know, we could get them set up for a CAN appointment. Typically for youth, which is the 18 to 24 population, that's also typically within a 14-day window. They can call us and we can get them set up for a CAN appointment. For individuals, that time frame, that's where I'm a little, I don't know off the top of my head, Joseph. I can research it, or if
So explain,
else.
hold on a second. So
Yeah.
explain to me what that time frame means. So I call you, and I'm, of course, for me, most of the people that I deal with are in a traumatic or crisis situation. So they want to know, how long is it going to take for me to get some relief or to get some answers? And so from the time they pick up, when you say time frame, explain that to me. What does the time frame mean? Does that mean 2 weeks? Does it mean you're going to do an intake? What is that particular process saying when I pick up that phone and say, hey, I'm about to be evicted, or I am evicted, I need a place to go, I don't feel comfortable going to a shelter, but what are the options that are available to me? I want to be able to share with them, especially those that are coming to me within next week. I'm going to have a pop-up pantry, and there are going to be some questions there. And I want to be able to have some resources and some answers for them when they talk about the housing process through 211.
Yes. So when I say that they have to be within a certain time frame, what that means is they have to be without housing within that time frame. So if they're going through an eviction, they have to have that final execution date within that time frame, in order for us to do the intake and get them scheduled for an appointment with the local community provider through the Coordinated Access Network. Now, from there, when they have that appointment, and Jess, I see you, I see you on now, so feel free to jump in, but I'll start and then feel free to weigh in. But from there, once a person has their appointment, they will have a navigator who will work with them to kind of figure out, do that have that deeper level diversion conversation, to really figure out what is their situation. If they're already outside, that's going to be a much more difficult situation to be able to divert, right? There's really nowhere to divert them to. But they would, see, is there any immediate shelter space available? Or is there a homeless outreach worker that they can help get this person connected with? And Jessica, if you want to kind of talk on that second half, that would be helpful.
Yeah, no problem. So I oversee the Northwest Can navigators. So we cover Waterbury all the way through Litchfield County. And when Laura was talking about time frames, so in our can, and I think it's across the state, individuals have to be within 5 days of literal homelessness to be eligible for a can assessment. Youth have to be within 2 weeks of literal homelessness, and families with minor children is also 2 weeks from literal homelessness. If you call 211 and want to be scheduled for an intake with the Northwest Can, we can usually see you within 24 hours. So if you call by 2 p.m., we can usually see you that same day. They can schedule you for an appointment. If not, if it's after 2 p.m., it would be the following day for either in person or over the phone if you do have a phone. And like Laura was saying, once we get to that point and we do your intake, we then assess you for like next steps, whether you're literally outside, we're going to offer you a shelter bed if we have one available, refer to outreach, or other programs that we might be able to assist with housing, going forward.
Yeah, so really it's going to depend on, that person's individual situation, circumstances, and, also kind of the demand within the community as well, recognizing that there's, a limited number of shelter beds. And now with the end of cold weather season, that's really compounding the issue, because there isn't as much space to be able to place people.
That's the reason why. So what happened to me, Jessica, was, and I need to get your card and information, please.
Sure.
Is that a family came to the church, the gathering place, and on a Sunday, and they had been put out of a shelter or put out of a hotel and motel, and I did not have the access or the resources to give them a place in Waterbury, but I referred them to, and I'm sure you know of her, Bonita Grubbs in New Haven, because she has housing for children and for families. And so this family had, this couple had 2 kids and one was disabled. And so I needed to be able to think on my feet. That's the only person I could think of. And so I wanted to be able to have the resources at my disposal or at the church or at the center when a person comes to me off the street into the center on a Sunday or on a Saturday, where I can refer them. And if they tell me at that point, on a Saturday, Sunday, we're displaced right now and we need a place to go, I want to be able to have the resources that you've given me to be able to start connecting them to the people they need to get those services from.
And sorry, go ahead,
Well, I was
Jessica.
just going to ask you, just remind me, I know at first it was 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. Is 211 7 days a week now, 9 to 4 or 8 to 4?
You read my mind, Jessica.
Okay.
So,
Just want to make sure.
So our housing crisis line is open 7 days a week. So Sunday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. During severe cold weather activation, when the governor activates the cold weather protocol, we have a cold weather line that is available 24 hours a day. So during a blizzard and things like that, that line is available regardless of our core housing hours. But moving out of the cold weather season, currently our housing crisis line is 8 a.m. to 4:30, 7 days a week. And outside of that, just one more thing. And outside of that, if someone were to call us at 6 o'clock at night or 8 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night, we may not be able to do an intake with them over the phone, but we can still kind of do some level of triage and see, is there a shelter or a drop-in center that we can refer them to for that night until they're able to reconnect with us the next morning to do, the full intake.
So to be mindful of time, the great thing is as you were alluding to, there are some limits on the housing side of time. But the great thing is the website, which is chock full of great information that all of us can go to regardless of time, regardless of whether there's a contact specialist or call specialist that's actually manning, say, the housing line at that point, right? So maybe if we can kind of segue into what the portal looks like, that will really help empower us. So the less people that are calling into 211 and utilizing the website, the more likely that somebody can get through a little faster that's in a real emergency or crisis that needs it, right? So if we can empower our consumers with information that we can get ourselves rather than having them call, we're better off. So maybe, Alana, if you can touch base on the great tool that the website can do to empower us, that'd be excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you who have other questions, our contact information is going to be on the last slide, and we're always happy to connect with people offline later this week as well. So, okay, I'm going to share my screen.
I have a question. I have my hand raised. Sorry. I've never gotten a straightforward answer on this question, Laura, but why is individual times different than the youth and families? 2 weeks to 5 days.
Yeah, so recently, Department of Housing worked with all the community providers across the state to try to come to some standardization for that. That's really, we received that guidance from, from the CANs and from Department of Housing, and so that's the timeframe that CANs felt most comfortable being able to address people's appointments in a timely manner, right? Because if they open it up within a 14-day window, they may not have the capacity to actually see all those people, and so I think it comes down to kind of resources, staffing, and things like that. But that's a decision, and yeah, that's a decision that's kind of separate from 211 because we received the direction locally from the CANs and Department of Housing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry, Alana, go ahead.
No problem. It's an important question. Okay, so can everybody see my screen? Yes, okay, good. So this is the 211 website. It's 211ct.org. And like Laura said, all of the resources that are in our database of community resources, so these are the resources that our contact specialists are searching when they're on the phone with someone, are publicly available on our website for anybody to search and reference. I'm going to go over a couple quick things in the top navigation. And then we'll do sort of a tour of the homepage, and then we'll do a sample search so you can see what it looks like to actually search for services in the database. So up here in the top right-hand corner, I always like to try and point out the translation functionality. So if you click here on select language, you could see that the website can be translated into these 30 languages. So when folks call into our 211 contact center, we can get any type of tele-translator on the phone for folks. We don't have an unlimited sort of translation ability on the website, but these are kind of the top 30 languages in the state of Connecticut. So really important for folks to know that. You'll also see here there's an option to log in or to sign up, and that is to a feature on our website called My 211 Account. And this is a free optional feature of the website, but we do encourage you all, if you have not yet, to sign up for a free My 211 account. You can still use the website without it. It's fully functional without the My 211 account feature. But what My 211 account allows you to do is to start to build and save lists of resources. And that's really important for those of you who may be working with individual clients or with communities, because you can put together a specific list of resources for an individual and save that, share it with them, reference back to it. You could put together a list of resources for a community, right? All of the emergency safety net food resources in a particular community, and you can save that and continue to share it with colleagues, with individuals, with your networks. So I'm going to go ahead and log into mine so that we can see kind of what that looks like once you sign up for an account and you're logged in. Okay, so you'll see that once you log in, this will change up here to say My 211 account, and you can, from this dropdown, look at your saved resource lists, screeners, your account settings, those types of things. You'll also notice that there's a chat feature in the top navigation bar. So this is another way to contact us. So you can call, you can use the website. Let's say you're trying to use the website and you're having some difficulty or you have a question, you can click on the chat feature and chat with a contact specialist. So just another way to reach us. Sometimes folks that have limited minutes on their cell phones are actually able to use the chat feature instead if they have free Wi-Fi. So just a tip there. And then there's a professionals tab at the top navigation. And if you click on the professionals tab, this is going to bring you to a whole host of resources that may be really helpful. So it's going to bring you to this section called add an agency. So to the individual who is asking how can they add their own agency or program to our database, if you come here, there's forms to fill out if you're a food pantry, a home care, sober living home. And if you're none of these, you'd fill out this nonprofit agency form with all of your information. And then one of our resource specialists will review that and get back to you with some questions and see about adding you to the database. There's also a link to update your agency or your programs in the database. And then lastly, over here on the right hand column, there is a link that may be helpful called Order 211 Materials. If you click on this link, you can preview all of the sort of brochures, posters, wallet cards that we have available. And if you click here, you can put in an order for any of those materials and we will mail them out to you for free to have available for your staff or in your organization. Okay, go back. And then also up here in the top navigation, you'll see a link to our e-library. Laura referenced this earlier. This is our electronic library of white papers, about 400 of them. These are short topic specific white papers. We're always going to highlight the kind of current ones up top. And then you can view the papers we have available by category, or you could search the e-library. So if you needed a quick refresher on winter protection, for example, you could search winter protection and quickly find our paper on winter protection, on state and federal resources to assist Connecticut residents with the expected electricity cost increases, a summary chart of energy assistance programs, and a paper on utility shutoffs. So all kind of short, helpful papers. Okay, so that is kind of the top navigation bar, and then we'll just quickly scroll down through the home page. This whole section here is related to searching the database. As you move down the page, you'll see we have two screeners available for folks. So the one here on the left that says take the eligibility screener. This is our 211 Navigator tool, Eligibility Navigator. It's a quick, anonymous screening tool. It takes less than 2 minutes to complete. You answer some basic questions about yourself or your client if you're helping someone, and it's going to screen that individual or family for these 23 state and federal benefit programs. So it's not an eligibility determination. It's not telling somebody with certainty that they'll qualify for Husky Bee, Saga Cash, and Operation Fuel, but it gives somebody a pretty good idea of what they may be eligible for and whether it's worth their time to pursue an application. And again, anonymous, less than 2 minutes to complete. And then this screener over here on the right is our Healthy Lives Navigator. This screener really is designed to help somebody who may have multiple needs, not know where to start, connect with a multitude of community programs in their area. So it screens for the 11 social needs kind of most closely linked with poor health outcomes. So again, this is anonymous. It's quick to complete. It's going to ask about transportation. It's going to ask about utilities, housing, food, employment, and so on. And then we're going to ask for your location, and we're going to start to present community programs to the individual based on how they answer the screening. So just wanted you to be aware of those two free screening tools we have on the website. Then a little bit further down, we have links to our 2-in-1 child development website. Laura talked about that specialized team of ours. We have a link here to 2-in-1 childcare. And like Laura said, this is our team that has the database of all of the childcare programs across the state of Connecticut. So this is the site you would come to search for childcare centers, family childcare, summer programs. Sorry, I'm speaking really quickly and moving really fast, but I'm trying to get through as much as I can in the remaining time. And then also a link here to our housing voucher site. And so this is the site where any housing authority across the state of Connecticut is required to post when they have an open Section 8 waiting list. And so, as most of you probably know, those waiting lists do not open very frequently. And so you can, up in the top left-hand corner, register for posting notifications, where you provide your email address or a client's email address so that you get an email notification every time there is a Section 8 waiting list that opens. And then lastly, before we move up to our search, down here at the very bottom of the homepage, you'll see our 2-in-1 community events calendar. We'll always list kind of the 3 events that are coming up soonest, but then there's a link here to view the full calendar. We're going to list community events that are free, open to the public, and providing some sort of service to the public. So employment fairs, job fairs, health fairs, those types of events. If you have an event that you're hosting for your organization and you want us to list it, there's also a link here for calendar submission where you can give us the information so we can list your event as well. Okay, quickly back up to the top. So here, there's a couple ways to search the 2-in-1 database. You can use this keyword search right in the middle here in this blue box. Or if you're not sure what to search there, you can use or browse one of these categories. So for example, if you were looking for utility assistance, but you're not sure exactly what to search, you could click on the utility assistance category and kind of browse through the various utility assistance programs, right? So I can look at electric service payment assistance. I can put my location in, and I can browse through the various services that are available, deliverable fuels, saving money on utility bills, discounted phone, internet, technology programs. Okay, but if we have an idea of what we might need, we can come up here to our search box. We can type in a word or a short phrase. As we start to type, you'll see that we get a drop down of these kind of common language help statements. So this is really for folks who, again, might not be sure what to type in here, but may see their need reflected in one of these help statements and say, yep, that's me. I need health insurance for myself or my family, right? And they can click on one of these help statements. If they know what they want, though, they can go ahead and start to type. So maybe they're looking for a Head Start program. So they click Head Start, and then in this box, this is the location box. So this is where you want to put where you're searching for services. You can put in a city, a zip code, or a specific street address. So let's say we're looking maybe for services for somebody at 100 East Main Street in Waterbury. And then we'll click search and we'll get our list of results back. Usually. Sometimes this happens when we share through Teams. I just have to refresh. Try it one more time. So Head Start, and we'll put in our address again. And then we get our list of results, and we can either browse them using the pins on the map, or we can look at the list here on the left. And we can start to look at these results cards. But we might be working with a family who has multiple needs, and we could add some other services to our search. So for example, perhaps this family has several young children and they also need diapers, right? So we could add diapers to our search. And perhaps they also just had, they're not getting the extra allotment of food stamps anymore. They need some help with food. Maybe we want to look for food pantries for them. So we could add food pantries to our search. And they're also, needing some parenting support. So maybe we want to look for, I don't know, parenting education classes, something like that. We could add that to our search as well. And then as you'll see, our search results are growing. So we have kind of 66 resources here now on the left. And the resources are returned in order of proximity to the location that you searched. So this first one, right, this Parents as Teachers program is 0.05 miles from the location that we searched. If we wanted to filter this list down, we could click on Show Advanced Filters. We could filter by day of the week, gender, age group, but maybe I want to filter by radius. If this is a family that has limited means of transportation, I know they might be walking or taking public transportation, right? I could look at resources just within 5 miles, for example, of where they're located. And that's going to cut down my list significantly to 26 resources. And then as I'm browsing through these, if there's something I see that I want to look at, in more detail, I can click on more details to view kind of the full resource record, the description, the eligibility, the application process, fees, disability access. And then if I'm finding resources that I want to provide to a family, I can go ahead and I could start to add them to a list. So I could click on Add to List, and I could create a new list. So maybe this is for client Laura, and I'm going to go ahead and create my list and go back to my results. And as I'm going through that list, I can add additional resources to it. So maybe I want to add this Parents as Teachers program to it. I can go ahead and, add this program to it as well. And now this is an existing list, so I can add it to there. And then up here in the top right-hand corner where it says my 2-in-1 account, I can go there to access my saved resource list. So if I click on my resource list, I'll see that new one that I just created for client Laura. It's right here. I can rename it, I can open it, or I could share it, right? And if I click on share list, I could email this list to Laura. I could email it to multiple people, multiple email addresses. I could email it to myself. I could text it to Laura or to somebody else, or I could use this copy link and grab a shareable URL. And I could put that in another email, in a newsletter, on my website, right? And that's more applicable if you created, let's say, a list of resources for all of the warming centers in your area, all of the food pantries, right? And you want to share that with a network of people, you can create that list and then share that shareable URL. I'm 1 minute over already, so I'm going to stop. I tried my best to get through as much as I could. We did not get through everything on the website, and we didn't have an opportunity to come over here to our 2-in-1 counts data dashboard and do a little bit of an overview on that. But Laura and I are always available, happy to answer any questions offline, do additional trainings or sessions for anybody on how to further use the website as a tool, because there is a lot on the website. I did like super quick high level, but there's a lot there. And also for anybody who wants a deeper dive on how to use the 2-in-1 counts data dashboard, I'm happy to do that as well.
So maybe we can do a little bit of a 2.0 in the future, because there is a lot of great information, and I think it really would empower the partners and providers to have some of this great information at their fingertips, especially for grant purposes. So Alana and Laura, really grateful. Thank you for all the great work that you do. And as we witnessed here, in real ways, it is life-saving work, right? When we think of the great work that you guys are doing, and we as United Way are doing on behalf of the state of Connecticut, right? And not just 2-in-1 Connecticut, but United Way of Greater Waterbury as well. The work that we do really is efficacious. It's life-saving. It's making a real direct impact. And we as United Way of Greater Waterbury are happy to host these lunch and learns so that we can empower our community partners and those in our community with real information to support the needs of our community. And Laura and Alana, really thank you for the time and the dedication that you guys have taken to put this together for us. We really greatly appreciate you all. With that, we will see you soon. Stay tuned for other lunch and learns that will be coming up. We'll be doing them on a bi-monthly basis. So please, if this was of resource for you, stay tuned for the other ones because they will be as equally impactful for you.